Why, hello, Witchlings. I'm so excited to see you today because today I'm talking about my very favorite goddess to work with. It's Frigg. Are you ready to hear my favorite stories and favorite things about Frigg? Buckle up. Let's do some magic. So today I'm talking about the goddess Frigg of Norse mythology. So she is the spouse of Odin, and she is considered allmother, and she has knitted all the stars together, and she knows how everything fits together in the universe. So she has a lot of amazing correspondences, a lot of fantastic abilities to help you with different things like divination, housework, being an awesome mom, being a great person. She helps with so many things. And today I'm going to be talking about her. So some things I'll be talking about today are 1, how Frigg looks to me, 2, correspondences, 3, offerings to Frigg, 4, my favorite stories about Frigg, and 5, a brief overview about if Frigg and Freya are different people. I'll talk about the first time I met Frigg. That will kind of explain a little bit better of what she looks like. So if you guys heard my beginning to Magick video, it was my first video ever, so I'm sure that the quality is not the best, but you know, same. So one of my first stories I told was the reason that I got into magic and my first interactions with any deity at all. The deity that came to me was Frigg. So what I did is I had a guided meditation and I met the deity that wanted to work with me. And I saw her, and she was inside this pocket of clouds. She came forward and she was smiling. I would say to me, she looks like she's in her mid to late 30s, but that could be because I'm in my mid 30s. So she looks maybe a little bit older than me, but pretty similar in age. She's got a very youthful face. It's kind of a longer oval shape face, I would say. She has very feminine features. She has a light pink tone to her lips. She has golden blonde hair, so not like one of those icy blondes. So it's more like a golden Nordic blonde, I guess. She always wears a crown of braids on her head whenever I see her. She usually wears light blue, like a baby blue, Norse traditional wardrobe, I guess. So what that is, so what they have is they'll have a dress that they wear underneath, and then they'll have a bib or an apron that they wear on top. So what it is, it's like a tube of fabric that they wear that's connected with some straps right around your shoulders, and then there's a button that they put here and here on your chest. So they put buttons here and here, and those buttons they'll attach necklaces, jewelry, so that it hangs down. And I always see her with golden jewelry hanging down. So like golden chains with big gold knots here of like a spiral. Usually it's like a spiral shape on the little decals that she has here on her wardrobe. So usually the clothing that she wears does have stitches in gold along the hems, like in some pretty ornate detail. But that being said, she can come to you any way she pleases. She can come wearing white. She can come wearing jeans and a negligee. She can come wearing absolutely nothing at all. She will come to you however it's best to come to you. And if that's wearing street clothes or coming up to you on the street as a stranger, she totally will. Next, I suppose I'll go over some correspondences for Frigg. Some correspondences for Frigg I'll pop up in a list right over here. Ooh. So they include some animals like ravens, hawks, falcons. I have an awesome story about a falcon. So side note, one time I was walking my baby on a bridge in town, and we were walking over the lake, and there was this little peregrine falcon that swooped right into us, and it just felt so motherly. I knew it was Frigg, so she just came and swooped right just within touching distance of us, right in front of me and my baby, and it was just such a beautiful experience. And she flew off into the sun, and I just knew it was Frigg, a beautiful, beautiful embodiment of her. Some other animals that I think are good for Frigg include geese. So geese are amazing, fearsome warriors and fearsome mamas. Also, cows are very good because she's one for harvesting, for having good fertile crops. Some other things that correspond with her are mistletoe, something called Frigg's grass. Now, if y'all could share what Frigg's grass is, I've never used it, but I would love to. So I'm thinking about looking up that now that I've done this research on her a little bit more in depth. Of course, a spindle, because she spins the fates of the world and she knows how they're woven. So she has a little spindle with usually white wool to me. So I usually see white with her, or baby blues, of course, which are her corresponding colors. So distinction between light blue and dark blue in Norse mythology, real quick, is dark blue is considered old death. So that's bodies that have decayed for a while would be a very deep blue. So that's why you see deep blue associated with Hel, Odin, and other death gods in Norse mythology. Baby blue, on the other hand, lighter blues, would consider the fresh death. So that's people who had only just passed, because their skin hasn't turned, but it does get quite light blue and pale. So Frigg would be more of a goddess of fresh death rather than old death, like Odin. She is a goddess of the hearth because she's a goddess of the home. So she's a fantastic to keep you on your duties at the house, your chores. She's very good at encouraging you to do them, and I am not a good listener. I am so sorry, Frigg, but I'm trying. But she's very good at helping you maintain your home and good home harmony. She's associated with birch trees, which I think is wonderful because they show such strength. They're one of my favorite trees. I love the white and the black on a nice birch. She's also associated with Orion's belt, which is something I didn't know until I did this recent research. So now every time I look at Orion's belt, I'll know why it seems to have such deeper meaning than just a guy with an arrow and a bow. Some stones that are good for Frigg include blue calcitite, moonstones, which I am quite drawn to myself. I usually keep a moonstone in my pocket. And snowflake obsidian, which is another gorgeous one. Also, snowflake obsidian is very good for Hel too. So if you want to work with Hel and Frigg, it's a great one to work with either. Oh, flaxseed. Flax is really good for her. You can slap that in anything. It'll make it much more delicious, and it'll add a little bit of extra health and good fats to it. So slap some flax in, say, thank you, Frigg, for the health. Thank you for my family's security, and may this flax coat our bellies so that we can be big and strong. Or whatever you prefer. I prefer my little babies to be big and strong. Something called a shepherd's purse is good for Frigg also, as well as broom, which is amazing because she's the queen of the hearth and of the home, and wild rose and thyme. Next, I'm going to talk about some things that I offer to Frigg as a sacrifice. Now, I must say that unless your entities say to do so, it is never required to do an offering. It's totally your choice. Now, sometimes there may be a little voice in your head that says, I want a freshly killed rabbit, for example, and then you got to figure out a way to do that in the astral, mixed it with real life. So, it does happen that they will actually require something of you. Got a cool story with Odin about that, so maybe I'll do an Odin video and talk about things that he likes and demands of me. But a lot of times when they ask for something, they're going to ask for acts or energy, not something that you purchase, usually. But if they do ask you for something that you can purchase, I'll go over those first, some nice offerings you can give. Or if you just want to open up that communication path with Frigg, you can totally just offer some of these and say, hey, I kind of want to start a friendship. I thought you liked this. So I'm going to start with really easy to access ones, followed by ones that aren't so easy to access. So one I love giving Frigg and that she really enjoys also is she really likes tea. Specifically, chamomile was one that shows up online, but I really like giving her hibiscus tea with just a little bit of honey. She really seems to like hibiscus with a little bit of honey, and the color is so pretty. Another one that's pretty cheap, if you can find it, is a rose hip. Wild roses are excellent to find, so if you live in an area that has wild roses, you could pick some, offer maybe a little flaxseed on the earth for the birds, and take that rose home and put it out on your altar for Frigg, for example. If you are taking something wild, make sure you only cut the extra and you leave it enough to be flourishing and big. So just whenever you trim something from wild nature, try looking it up on an app also to make sure you're not picking something that could cause you harm. Another one that I really like giving Frigg is dried cherries. Also, dried grapes are fine too, raisins. I think she likes golden raisins a little bit better than the normal ones. She says yes. So she likes the golden raisins a little bit better than normal, but honestly, any dried fruit is going to be fantastic for her. She does have a little bit of a sweet tooth. Speaking of that, if you happen to have little leftover cakes, or if you want to bake yourself something and give her a slice, I'm sure she would not mind at all. She decided to come and visit now that I'm taking this video, and I'm so excited. So yes, little cakes are wonderful, but it does not have to be petit foie little cakes, like fancy little cakes. She does enjoy a good honey cake, she says, a good honey cake. Honey and milk is good for Frigg, she says. These were not on my list, she's just telling me right now. So I guess she wants you guys to have some good options. Oh, if you are lactose intolerant, she loves oat milk with honey. And so, by the way, so does Loki. Loki also enjoys oat milk with honey, but he likes his with cinnamon, and Frigg likes hers with nutmeg. So you don't have to remember that, because just honey is fine too. She does love mead. She really enjoys mead. She likes herself a white wine. So specifically a Riesling is really nice. Honestly, anytime I have a white wine, I'll just give her a little bit and she really enjoys it. One time I gave her a mimosa because I thought she would love mimosas. So that's where you mix like orange juice and champagne. She hated it. She wouldn't even touch it. Oh my gosh, I felt so bad. I don't know what it is about mimosas. She said it was just too weird, but that was not something that she enjoyed. So you can try it too. Maybe she'll like your mimosas better than my mimosas. Maybe she needs real champagne. I don't know. But either way, she hated it. Well, that's pretty much all my list for things that you can offer her that are like physical, tangible items that you can give. Now, options for people who don't want to have a physical altar, or if you want to give something just as good, but just a little bit different. So I will say I've had my entities that I've worked with in response to asking for help with a spell, requested specifically a song. So what that means is you can sing a song to your entities like Frigg, and they'll be absolutely delighted. So one thing I love to do with Frigg is take songs that don't really have anything to do with her that I know how to sing, and I'll replace in lyrics for Frigg. So I'll make the song about her rather than about whatever it was originally about. You can just write poems. They absolutely adore poems, especially Odin. He really enjoys himself a good poem. Frigg likes a nice poem too. She does like the romantic type, but she's not offended by the warrior type poems too. She digs that. You can also offer energy. So if you guys are interested in working with energy, which I highly recommend if you want to do anything at all magically, I could definitely do a video. But either way, what you can do is get yourself a little ball of energy and give it to her. So you can either call her to you, give her that bubble of energy for her to enjoy, or you can just send that bubble of energy off to her. So let's say you don't know her yet, she's not coming over to visit, and you really want to begin that relationship. So what you can do is you can make yourself a ball of energy, maybe in front of a candle to kind of help you get some energy back into it. So use the candle to feed the energy ball, and once that ball is good and ready, you can say, for Frigg, or you can say, I want you to go to Frigg. Honestly, anything that feels authentic in your heart and that directs that energy ball to go to her, she will get it and she will love it. I assure you. And entities really love getting our energy for free. It's very nice. Other than that, the main thing you can offer an entity is your friendship. So just getting to know them, letting them get to know you, just hanging out for fun, hanging out for spells, that's really the best way to do that. So that brings me to a very important point. If you don't know already, how do you get the entities to hang out with you? Well, I have a super easy incantation that I'm gonna have you try, and it'll work with pretty much anybody. So I got the more complicated version. You can take liberties on this all you like, because it does not have to be perfect or like this. But basically, you would say something like, Hail Frigg, hail goddess of the spindle, hail the goddess who controls the cosmos and knows our fate. Hail Frigg, hail Frigg, hail Frigg. And she'll be there. She was already here, so she's loving this. But I have a much easier way that you can do this. Hey Frigg, do you want to hang out? Yeah, that works. You can just do that. So really, anything from crazy formal, I really feel imposed to be really formal with this deity. That might be a good idea if you've never talked before. It might not be a bad idea to start off a little bit more formal than you would after you've started that relationship. But as you get to know about that entity, you can just casually invite them over. And if they're not busy, they might just pop in and say, oh, hey, what's up, girl? Oh, you see you making some carrot soup today. You know what you might like in that carrot soup? You might like a little ginger, whatever. So she will do that. She will totally come over and help out with whatever you're working on, and she'll hang out with you, talk with you, and you can do the same. So let's talk about some stories about hanging out with Frigg. So I did talk about my dedication in a separate video to Frigg, but I'm going to summarize it real briefly here just so you can kind of get an all-in-all inclusive understanding of kind of how she is. So when I went to do my dedication with Frigg, I was in a field of either tulips or roses that had a big windmill behind. And as I walked into this little town, there was this big celebration, and everybody in the town was wearing white clothing, and they were all playing music and super excited. I came up and I was kind of scared, but they were all excited to see me. They put me in this white lacy clothing, and they washed me with goat's milk. So there were a bunch of little girls, and they just splashed goat's milk all over me. And then they took me to this huge maypole that was so big. It was like in this empty field with like just random little wildflowers growing in it. And it went up to the clouds, and the clouds were almost weaving around it on the very top of it, kind of going out like spindles. Like the maypole is made of the universe itself. And from there, Frigg came down and she gave me a kiss, gave me a big hug. We had a huge celebration. And afterwards, we went to the Norse hall, and she encouraged me to dedicate myself to her in front of all the gods. And they put forth in front of me a plate of delicious things for me, and that plate of delicious things was art supplies and musical instruments, and that was the feast that I was given to have on my dedication. So it's like they really know you. They get to really know you, and they really care about your development as a magical practitioner too. So I would highly recommend having deep relationships with your entities, because you get to learn so much more, and they really direct you down your path the way it should go. Another story I have is a more fun one. So I heard rumors that there was this party going on in the astral in one of the Norse halls. So me and my friend wanted to go hang out in the Norse halls. So I asked Frigg if we could go, and she helped us get there, and we had a fantastic time. But she basically took us to the gate. Himdall was guarding, and she had him let us inside. We had a fantastic party with those who had passed, so those who were dead, with the gods and goddesses, and with those who were living who were there in the astral. I will say the people who did not keep their alcohol under control the best, the people who are the worst at it were definitely the humans that were coming to visit from the astral, and I probably got to be one of them near the end. So I started playing the banjo, and I was like, had a compulsion spell almost to keep playing the banjo in the astral, and just kept on drinking, having fun, and then eventually all the Norse entities and then those who have died, they all wandered off, and all the mortals were left over at the end, and we all were like, we should probably leave. So those are fun. I do have a lot more stories about Frigg. One of the most important stories I have was working with her to assemble how I should figure out how to use my soul shards. So she and a bunch of other entities I work with all worked together really hard to make sure that I wasn't going to be put in a bad mental health place by working on some of my soul shards. So that was one of the most important things I think she's done for me. That is not by all means like that she hasn't done other important things, because she does so much important things for me in my life. She is very, very important. And I hope that if this speaks to you, that she can become important in your life too. Okay, so let's talk about Freya versus Frigg. So I'm going to tell you some ideas about whether or not they're the same people, different people, and my hot take on it, if you wish to take my hot take. So Frigg was one of the original deities, but then Freya came up more as Christianity came in, and they couldn't have one entity be the allmother, be essentially be Mary, mother of God. So that's what Frigg is to the people who are looking at it from a Catholicism lens. then she can't be somebody who's a slut or somebody who's violent. So we split her. We made her into Frigg and we made her into Freya, because Freya is the Lilith, the dark one, the warrior, the slut. Look out, she might be into having sexual intercourse because it's what she wishes. Well, anyhow, they split them, and I think that the goddess responded appropriately by being both, but fully herself as either. So, the way I see it is, Frigg and Freya are the same person, but she comes to you in the form that fits the time best. So, in the times that I've needed to do a love spell, or the times where I needed to fight and kick some butt, Frigg did not show up in the form of Frigg. She showed up in the form of Freya. So she was a little bit younger. She was much more sporty. She had lighter, looser clothes, not as much chunky jewelry, more just like light, fine jewelry. That's how she appeared to me. The color of hair was a little bit lighter than Frigg's hair. Freya's got a little bit lighter color hair and more like braids coming down rather than the crown. But the energy is so similar between Freya and Frigg that that's kind of where I think it is. That's my personal hot take. If you guys have your own personal hot take on Frigg versus Freya, leave a comment down below and let me know, because as long as everyone's civil, I'm totally down for that debate. It's a super fun one, and I think it's really interesting to see how history really changed practicing religion and how those gods function today. Anyhow, I hope you guys like and subscribe to this video, because I would love to make more videos about my personal stories with entities, deities, and the like. If you like this kind of video, be sure to comment and hit that like. And if you subscribe, then I'll know what kind of stuff you like more, and you can watch more of me. And I would love to do that. Because I don't always post videos on time, it is really nice to ring the bell just to make sure you're not missing some of my videos, because they might hit you just right. Thank you so much for watching, Witchlings. I hope you have a fantastic, magical day. Bye.